Hey guys, it's Coin Crazy, and I want to show you a really cool coin. So I finally decided to pull the trigger on this. I've been wanting one of these for a very long time, a couple years, and I don't know why I didn't buy one sooner. I really can't answer that question, but I found one. I thought it was a reasonable price, and I decided to pull the trigger. I bought myself a radioactive dime. Well, it's not radioactive anymore. This is a neutron irradiated Mercury Dime from the American Museum of Atomic Energy. And this is super cool. You can find these on eBay for about $20 to $25. I'm sure they can get even pricier if the condition is better, or less expensive if the condition is worse. But this one is in pretty fair condition. And I didn't think $20 plus a couple bucks for shipping, I think $2, $3 for shipping was all that bad. And there were actually quite a few of these. And, I'm not a scientist. I'm no Jimmy Neutron. I don't know how to describe. I just read an article about this process and this museum and their exhibit here and how these coins were produced. And I'm going to link that article in the description below. And I'm also going to try to explain that process in the most unsophisticated, unscientific way that I know how, because it's the easiest way for me to explain the things that I just read in that article. And like I said, it's much better to read the article. You're going to learn a lot more. But evidently, this was an exhibit at this museum in Tennessee that was running from the 1950s, the mid 50s, early 50s, 1952, 3, around there, up to the mid to late 60s. And patroners, or what's the better word, guest to this museum would go through the museum, and this was one of the last exhibits, and you would give them a dime. They would take that dime and they would put that dime in a machine that would zap this thing full of radioactive rays or waves or whatever you want to say, atoms, and then the dime would fall onto a lead. I don't want to call it a shelf, but let's call it a coin holder. It would fall on a lead surface. And I don't know if a Geiger counter, the article doesn't get that specific, but I don't know if it would like fall on the lead shelf, and if the Geiger counter was mounted, or if they would take a Geiger counter past the coin, but a Geiger counter would be near the coin or ran past the coin, and it would show the guest at the museum that it was indeed a radioactive dime. Then the dime was removed from the lead shelf, or lead coin holder, whatever you want to call it, and it was placed nicely inside of one of these coin holders here. And it's almost like an airtight. It's a unique one, though. It has this aluminum back. I believe that's aluminum. And then on the other side, it has this nice hard plastic. And then they gave you the dime. And the radioactivity had a half-life of 22 seconds. And so by the time that you left that museum, this thing was no longer radioactive. Now, according to the article, you might be able to pick up trace amounts of radioactivity, but you'd have to use very special tools, highly calibrated tools, and it would be so minute that you'd just be so minute. And evidently, because of this process that occurred, some of the metal actually turned into another element. And I'm not even going to pronounce the element because I can see it in my mind, but I don't even know if I'm spelling it the right way. And it's cadmium. Read the article. Very cool article about how they did this. I guess evidently this exhibit got shut down when silver stopped being used for coinage in 1964. They tried to go to the bank to keep the exhibit alive and buy rolls of dimes and pick all the silver dimes out. But obviously with people hoarding, the silver coinage, the junk silver, that evidently wasn't going to last very long. And so they shuttered the museum. Evidently the copper-clad coins, there's something about that composition which is prohibitive in terms of zapping those radioactive waves and making it radioactive. It's probably a safety issue, or there's something with that type of metal composition that makes it unfeasible. I know one of the reasons that silver worked very well for this was because silver was a very stable metal, and that is the primary reason they were able to pull this off. But how cool is this? This is a really, really, really neat piece of Americana. And if you think about it, back after World War II and the atomic bomb, America was really interested in the advancement of atomic energy. And I mean, they were on multiple fronts, and it's evident everywhere you look in the 50s. Technology was advancing, trying to find out different ways to utilize atoms and generate power and so forth. And you started seeing atomic plants go up, power plants, and this just takes you right back to that day and era of when all of this progress was going on. And it's super cool. And I think this is, I mean, it just is so fitting, and a really great piece of American history here. What a cool souvenir. It's unfortunate that there's nothing like this today, and I'm sure there is, I just don't know about it. But it would be neat if there was something similar today that you could take. You know, I mean, how cool. And you know what's neat about this, what I really like about this, is all those young kids who went to that museum and their parents gave them a dime to put through this process, and they left with one of these. They had something that they were looking at every single day, or they left that museum thinking about, wow, I've got a radioactive dime. And think about how many people that encouraged their children to become or to pursue the sciences or math or things such as that. You don't see this type of stuff anymore. So I think this is super cool. And if you guys don't own one, whether you're a silver stacker or a coin collector, this is an absolute must. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And again, I know there's going to be some of you that comment below and say you meant to say this, and this is the scientific process. I am a firm believer in something called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And there's no point in writing down all these scientific terms so I can be 100% correct with everything I'm saying. That's why I'm being the responsible YouTuber and putting the link to this really sophisticated and advanced article in the description. So please check it out. It's a really interesting article. Talks about how things in this coin have a half-life of 400 years, and way above my head. Call me stupid, but I'm looking at some of these elements and thinking, you know, man, I know a lot about a lot of things, but I'm no scientist, that's for sure. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe.